Welcome back to another episode of Tales After Dark. This is a podcast filled with scary stories, and we will be diving deep into the world's most treacherous cult crimes. Many of the paranormal and creepy stories heard here are from articles that I have found on Reddit. Article information will always be included in the show notes below each episode. To submit a terrifying tale of your own, please email stories.talesafterdark@gmail.com. And make sure to follow TAD Podcast along on Reddit. Paranormal investigations and spooky adventures will soon be coming to the Tales After Dark YouTube channel. You can find those videos and all podcast episodes there, so don't forget to subscribe. The show is brought to you by the MW Network and produced by me, your host, Emma Dawn. Tales After Dark is made possible by our sponsors. The Home Bookkeeper Masterclass. The paranormal isn't my full-time gig. Outside of podcasting, I am a home bookkeeper. Check out how I was able to ditch my 9-to-5 grind and spend more time creating and doing all the spooky things I love by becoming a home bookkeeper. More information on my Home Bookkeeper Masterclass can be found on my company website, edjconsultinggroup.com, under Resources. Zaya Active. What's better than curling up in a nice pair of leggings and your Tales After Dark sweatshirt and listening to a spooky tale? In my completely biased opinion, not much. Visit myzaya.com/Emmadon for premium and affordable men's, women's, and youth active and loungewear. And make sure to check out the Tales After Dark merch store on teespring.com. Do you like to sip while you listen? Then sip with purpose by choosing One Hope Wines. One Hope is a Napa Valley wine company that has given back over $5 million to nonprofits. So put your wine to work by shopping One Hope at onehopewine.com/myshop/mommywines. All sponsor links are always included in the show notes. Don't forget to check them out, but most importantly, and simply, subscribe to the show, leave a rating and review, and share Tales After Dark with your friends. Welcome back to another episode of Tales After Dark. In this haunted history series, I will be covering some of Ireland's most notorious haunted castles, such as Loftus Hall, Leap Keep, Ballygally Castle, Kilkenny Castle, and more. Some of these structures and spirits even date back to the 12th century. In this series, I hope to help you learn a little bit of Ireland's vibrant history while sharing the ghostly tales that still walk some of Ireland's oldest halls. Some of these historic buildings have been turned into vacation destinations. Any trip and stay details will be included in the show notes below each episode. Maybe you'll be inspired to patron Ireland's most haunted castles for yourself. Loftus Hall is a large country house on the Hook Peninsula, located in the county of Wexford. Its historic walls have seen invasion, capture, plague, famine, and numerous personal tragedies, many of which live on as ghostly legends. Built on the site of the original Redmond Hall, locals are said to believe it is haunted by the devil himself and the ghost of a young woman. After being purchased by Aidan Quigley in 2011, Loftus Hall was marketed as a haunted house, which hosted guided tours of the mansion until the pandemic shut down in 2020. Aidan made a fine profit marketing off the devil, consequences unknown, and now the famous house is up for sale. To the right buyer. This extraordinary 19th century mansion has a sprawling 22 bedrooms, hosted within 27,124 square feet. Nestled on 63 acres of Ireland's beachfront countryside. This incredible estate, its paranormal guests, and haunting history can be yours for the humble price of $2.87 million. Though for what you are getting, this asking is incredibly discounted. Though I am sure having the devil as a roommate does a little something to the home value. While its rich and colorful past is enough to bring history buffs flocking, it is the legends, the unexplained mysteries, and the tales of ghostly apparitions that have made Loftus Hall one of the most visited mansions on the island of Ireland. The legends stem from a real life and death of Anne Tottenham. Loftus Hall has a bright, vibrant history even before the devil was looking for some entertainment. In 1642, the future Loftus Hall, then still known as Redmond's Hall, was attacked by English soldiers loyal to Charles I of England. The hall's owner, Alexander Redmond, was known to be sympathetic to the rebels and used the hall to aid rebels during the war. Captain Ashton believed it could be easily taken, and on the 20th of July, 1642, took a ship from Buchanan with around 90 men and 2 small cannons, docking near the hall. Although Alexander Redmond was full of age for the time, himself, his sons, tenants of the hall, and a tailor began preparing a defense. In all, the defense was around 10 individuals armed with fowling pieces. Captain Ashton marched his men up to the front of the hall and demanded admission in the name of the king. Alexander Redmond retorted that Ashton was welcome to come in, provided only that he left his soldiers and weapons outside. The unreasonable captain denied the civility, and a lengthy gun battle ensued. Ashton discovered that his cannons were too small to make much of an impression on the main doors. To add to his troubles, about half of his men abandoned him to pillage the nearby villages of the countryside. As the fight dragged on, a heavy sea mist descended over the Hook Peninsula. Meanwhile, Irish Confederates were still encamped nearby. Hearing of the attack, they hastily marched to the aid of the defenders and surprised the attackers under the cover of fog. About 30 of the English escaped, yet Captain Ashton himself wasn't so lucky. There is a tradition that the defenders used sacks of wool to block up breaches in the walls created by enemy cannons. These wool sacks and the representation of the hall can be seen in the coat of arms. Alexander Redmond received favorable terms from Cromwell and died in the hall in 1650, after which his surviving family were evicted, allowing only to retain a third of their original estates in the county of Wexford. The Loftus family were English planters who had owned land in the neighborhood. After the end of Cromwell's campaign, Nicholas Loftus was given extensive lands in the south end of the county of Wexford and purchased the hall, but it was only in 1666 when his son Henry moved to the hall and it became the principal residence of the Loftus family. Charles Tottenham married the Honorable Anne Loftus, daughter of the first Henry Loftus, and they had 6 children, 4 boys and 2 girls. Girls named Elizabeth and Anne. Unfortunately, Charles's wife became ill and died while the children were still very young. One night, amid a powerful storm, a ship was said to have arrived at the Hook Peninsula, and a young, charming man made his way to Loftus Hall, asking if he could take shelter. It was not uncommon for strangers to come knocking, as the rough waters around the South Wexford coast often resulted in ships being grounded on the shore or shattered by the rocks. The man was invited in and ended up residing at the house for several weeks. During this time, Anne, now a young woman, fell in love with the stranger and spent countless hours socializing with him, roaming the halls of the mansion. According to local legends, one evening the family was playing cards with the stranger when Anne leaned down under the table to collect a card that she had dropped, and she noticed that the stranger had cloven hooves instead of feet. She screamed loudly, causing the stranger to expose himself as the devil. He transformed into a burned skin man engulfed in a ball of fire and shot up through the roof, leaving Anne in a state of trauma from which she never recovered. Since the 1600s, the property has been used for an array of purposes. In 1917, Loftus Hall was bought by the Sisters of Providence and turned into a convent and a school for young girls interested in joining the order. In 1983, it was purchased by Michael Delavrex, who reopened it as Loftus Hall Hotel, which was closed again in the late 1990s. In 2011, the house was purchased by the Quigley family. In more recent times, the hall has been run as a tourist attraction with guided tours of the property and seasonal events, with people traveling from all over the world to take part in paranormal investigations. What do you guys think of Loftus Hall? Do you think it was really the devil? Would you ever visit the location? If it ever becomes a hotel again, would you stay the night? Or even maybe contemplate the purchase and turning it back into a home? Personally, I think the price is incredibly low for what you are getting. So for it to be on the market for that price, something sinister has to be going on. If you are listening on YouTube, go ahead and leave me a comment about what you thought of this story. If you're listening on a podcast platform, don't forget to leave a rating and review. And go ahead and share Tales After Dark with your friends. Until next time, stay spooky.